Zidane Danny, Electro Ninja here, and welcome back to Electro Ninja's Lab. Now, you may be noticing that I'm a cartoon for some reason today, which there is a reason for it, and the reason is my camera died and we can't find the charger. So until we get a new one, I'm gonna be a cartoon for the next few videos. It shouldn't be that long, don't worry. But anyways, today we're going to be talking about Halloween. Yes, it is the spooky season, meaning, of course, how are we going to celebrate? And that in lies the problem. Due to the current situation, aka COVID, we're stuck in this cycle of not being able to go out. We can't go to parties. We can't hang out with our friends. We can't watch spooky movies together. Someone can't take their kids out to go trick or treating because that's like one of the most fun things to do as a kid. And yeah, most of those sound reasonable that yeah, you can't really do them. But in actuality, there is a lot of things that you can still do during this crazy season. So, we're going to be going over them. Of course, these are not just for people who are my age trying to figure out what the heck they're going to be doing. Like, we can't go to parties, we can't do this or that. I honestly have no idea what people do in my generation for Halloween. Or really anything for that matter. So, that's something to think about. Anyways, today we're going to but this is not only for my generation dealing with this stuff, but also for parents who are trying to figure out what the heck am I supposed to do with my kids. They can't go trick-or-treating or anything like that. And also, if you are going to be doing something involving trick-or-treating, this will also have some advice for how to do it safely. So first off, let's talk about if you're just a regular person trying to just have a good Halloween. The first thing to note is that you don't have to still skip out on the parties or the watching movies with friends, however you're going to be doing things, because of the fact that you can still do these if you do them virtually. We all have amazing devices either in our pockets or we have a laptop or computer that has some way to connect to the internet. And if you claim that you don't, then how are you watching this video? But the point is that we can still contact each other and get on voice calls or video calls to still have a good time. Whether it be having a little party together, listening to some awesome Halloween music, or in other cases, we can also do things like watch spooky movies, which I'm going to be actually talking about some good options for spooky movies this year. But you can also play D&D, have a one shot that is freaking Halloween themed. I've never done a one shot for Halloween, but I know that there are some of those out there. So that is an option. There's also several other things that you can do. Play a video game. I'm biased, but Final Fantasy XIV is probably one of the best MMOs that there is. Definitely check it out if you are interested, because honestly, it's a fantastic MMO that I've done a lot of cool stuff with. And it's actually something that I think even parents should actually be thinking about as one of their options instead of trick or treating. But I'll get into that in a little bit. Now, of course, like I said, I was going to get into some good suggestions for what you can watch this Halloween. Obviously, there are a few shows that you can watch. Spooky shows like Haunting of Bly Manor. I think there's another haunting movie that also or show that came out as well. So if you're interested in those, then more power to you. But if you are someone who has a sensitive friend who can't actually handle watching these scary things, then I do have some suggestions for what you can also watch. Obviously, there are the classics, Coraline and The Nightmare Before Christmas. And if you're going to argue that Nightmare Before Christmas is not a Halloween movie, it's both. Just plain and simple, it's both. And like I said, Coraline is obviously a classic that if you haven't watched it, why haven't you? Next, of course, there are some new movies that recently came out that honestly would be some really good laughter and, well, even though they are Halloween themed, they're not necessarily too scary if you happen to be showing it to your kids, or you happen to have a friend who can't handle spooky things, or you have a friend who would literally die if they watch something that scares them too hard. I'm not speaking from personal experience. What are you talking about? Anyways, these movies that recently came out include Hubie Halloween and Babysitting Guide to Monster Hunting. Both of these movies recently came out on Netflix and are honestly pretty dang good. So if you are looking for something that is really just fun and Halloween themed, then I would suggest giving these two a try. Now, of course, with that comes the other main thing for Halloween's. How the heck do you handle trick or treating? So, the first thing to actually know is, of course, don't. Plain and simple, do not trick or treat. Whether you are someone who is going to go trick or treating with your kids or you are going to be someone who is handing out candy. The easiest thing to avoid getting COVID is to just simply not. Take down all of your lights, hide in your house, and don't answer the door even if people decide to knock on your door. Because honestly, that's the best option. Make sure you bring in all of your solar lights. Make sure that you turn off your frickin' porch lights as well as any lights that happen to be right in front of windows, because that will tell people that you're home. So try to avoid turning on those lights. If you happen to have put up decorations, you're crazy, but there's not really much I can tell you except for take them down as quickly as possible because you're going to be regretting it soon. Of course, like I said, don't go trick or treating. But if you are someone who will be doing something like that, please remember to keep the rules of social distancing in place. One, wear a mask. That is the most important thing. And of course, try to keep distance. This is especially important for parents taking your kids out trick or treating. Make sure that both they and you are 6 feet apart from everyone else. You want to make sure that that's always the case. Never let your kids go up immediately as some other group of kids is. Make sure that you keep them monitored and don't let them get too close to other people. Just be safe. If you are going to be someone who is handing out candy, I do suggest doing one of two things. One, you leave your candy in a bowl outside of your house. Two, you do a trunk or treat situation. I actually suggest this for both parents taking their kids trick or treating as well as just normal people wanting to hand out candy. Because this way you're kind of killing two birds with one stone by one, you're staying social distancing, but two, you're also making sure that people don't steal a whole bunch of candy because you will be in your car. So there's that. And usually these things are well monitored and well taken care of. So yeah, that is actually something that my neighborhood happens to be doing. So that's one of the reasons why I bring it up. It's not the best option, but what are you going to do? Now, if you are still not certain and you don't want to go trick-or-treating, but you do want to make sure that your kids do still have fun, there are still options. The first one is, of course, turn on a movie for them. Just have them watch a movie while you give them candy. Basically, just buy a bag of candy, and then it's all the candy that you get is actually meant for you and your kids, and you don't have to worry about the fact that you're going to have to give it all out. So, yeah. Bonus in my book. And then once you've dealt with all of the candy and stuff, then that's pretty much it. But there are still some other things. You can also play a board game. There are a few spooky board games that you can actually handle, and I think that they could actually be really useful. And if you want your kids to still be able to do trick-or-treating, there are MMOs that would actually be well suited for setting up a trick-or-treat-like situation. For example, again, Final Fantasy XIV. Due to the way that their housing system is set up, you can actually still take your kids trick-or-treating kind of by having your kids go through on one of your characters and basically getting candy from, quote unquote candy, from the different houses in the different districts. And if you're in a guild, you may be able to set it up so that every single one of your guildmates is actually doing this, and it can be really fun. It's not necessarily the best option, but it's there. And then basically everyone who's actually doing it gets rewards in the long run. So there you go. Depending on how you decide to actually handle it. But that's up for you to decide as you play your game. Next up is an option that I actually suggested to a friend of mine a little while ago. Basically, she has 3 kids, so she was wondering what should they do as a trick-or-treating substitute. And I actually gave her this suggestion that if you have multiple doors inside your own house, then what you can do is you and your spouse can actually be behind one of these 2 doors, and your kids will basically run between the 2 doors, knocking on them and getting candy from you guys. And it still has the same basic effect of what I said before, where all of the candy still goes to you. And all of the candy is either yours or the kids without necessarily having issues. And also, you can just have this go until either your kids run out of energy or you just decide, okay, that's enough. We're going to watch a movie or play a board game now. We're done. Things like that are still possible, and it still gives your kids the option to still have some trick-or-treating experience. While this won't necessarily work if you have older kids, with younger kids like this friend, it's a lot easier to handle than, say, going out trick-or-treating and then having to tell your kids, no, you need to stay 6 feet away from everyone. You need to keep your mask on, honey, and all of that stuff, because it devolves into chaos. And doing this as for little kids is actually much better and much easier to handle. And you can have your older kids, if you have them, basically just get on the computer and hang out with their friends online, doing basically all of the suggestions I already gave, playing D&D, all of that stuff. And honestly, I think that this will actually help you to have a fantastic Halloween. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. If you have any suggestions for other people or for parents to basically keep this Halloween a safe Halloween, definitely leave them down in the comments. And also, let me know any of your thoughts or theories, because honestly, that's what this channel is. So, if you have your theories, make sure to leave them down in the comments below. Make sure to say theory review somewhere in your comment. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, definitely leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and ring that notification bell. And if you want to support the channel even more, then definitely head down to the description and check out all of our links down there, including our social medias and ways that you can support us financially, including our Patreon, which a big thank you to our current patron, Sheeny. But anyways, guys, I've been Electro Ninja, and I will see you guys next time. But on!